Welcome everyone to the Spring 2021 New Transfer Advising Workshop. We're very happy that you've decided to attend CSUB Antelope Valley. From all of us here at CSUB AV, welcome Spring 2021 Runners. This is our campus. You might not be able to see it until probably summer or next fall. This is what it looks like. That's our president, Dr. Zelazny, in there. And there's a few of us in there. You can see my little runner up somewhere in the background. It's me over there. I am Leah Anton. I am your undergraduate staff advisor at CSUB AV. And this is Selena Delgadio. She is our graduate peer advisor. She has her bachelor's in sociology. She graduated last year. So we're very happy to have her this fall. Either me or her will be assisting you in your one-on-one advising. So just so that you can recognize her faces, I put them both in there. What we're going to do today is we're going to do a little bit of a review of everything. For example, these are all the majors that we offer at the CSUB AV Antelope, CSUB AV Satellite, which is criminal justice, sociology, child, adolescent, and family studies, liberal studies, business, interdisciplinary studies, foundational science, and we just got this one last fall. It's religious studies. Besides the staff and peer advisors who meet all of these students in all of these majors, we also have faculty advisors. For example, child, adolescent, and family studies have Dr. Reed as their faculty advisor, or sociology majors have Dr. Castlestrand and Professor Sanchez, and our criminal justice majors have Dr. Taylor. So after you have completed your initial advising with the staff advisor and the peer advisor, you will actually transition into meeting with your faculty advisor for your everyday advising needs. And usually we try to update your outline whenever you request it. And when you're closing to graduation, we kind of review things for you once again, and you can come back and meet with us at that point. Ideally, we're providing you with enough information so that you have a clear path towards graduation during your time here at CSUB AV. Your faculty will also kind of help you along as you go through. Ideally, things will get easier, so if you feel overwhelmed with all the information, please know you don't have to memorize everything. We have staff and faculty here to assist you. As a student, you also have the option to send us your questions. Most general questions can be answered over phone or email if we know your concentration, your ID number, what your catalog year is, and the more information you include, the more likely we are to be able to respond to that without having to make an appointment to meet with us again. Ideally, we'll be able to answer all of your questions during your one-on-ones. This is my virtual office. I have this on the email that I sent you with your academic paperwork. It's right under the signature. It says visit my virtual office, and there's a lot of information I have in here that I think could be helpful. For example, you have in the little calendar over here, this is the academic calendar so that you can see what's coming up as far as dates and deadlines for the university. You have the tutorial videos for all of the how to search for classes, how to print unofficial transcripts, how to check for registration holds, things like that. Anything of importance during the term, during the month that you're looking at this virtual office, we'll have important deadlines posted in there, information about the GWAR exam, the very important class override that a lot of you are going to need simply because the prerequisites might still be in progress. For walk-ins, we may or may not have walk-ins at specific times. If we have walk-ins, you will see a link to do the walk-ins. It'll be a Zoom link to meet with either Selena or myself for quick questions that we can answer for you right away. My phone number is in there, the university catalog is in there, links to the tutoring center are in there, so we have a lot of information in here that can be very useful and that you have access to 24/7. It doesn't replace your one-on-one advising, so we still want to be able to meet with you, but sometimes you just have a quick question that you're just wondering, when does this start? When do we do this? And the information is posted on the virtual website. So if you haven't taken a look, I would highly recommend that you go check it out. What we're going to do today is I'm going to go over some general information that applies to all of our undergraduate students. So rather than review this individually with each of you, we'll go over the general stuff together in this video. And then when we do the one-on-ones, we actually go over the specifics for your classes, your graduation requirements, your major, your units, so on and so forth. I will give you an overview of my CSUB, your student center specifically, registration holds, things on your to-do list, your registration appointment. I will walk you through how to do the class searches for AV, as well as how to do searches for your general education courses. I will tell you how to do add the classes to your shopping cart, and if your registration has already started, you can enroll in classes as well. The one-on-one is when not recorded, that's when we actually meet for your academic advising appointment. A little bit of a snapshot of what CSUB AV looks like this fall 2020 semester. Our total enrollment is 645 students. We are small. This is a pretty average number for our students. You will notice that we have a lot of new students. So for the fall semester, we had 197 brand new students. That's almost a third of our student population. And those graduating this fall, spring, and summer for this academic year, we have about a quarter of our students graduating. Because we only admit upper division transfer students, we have a high number of students coming and going. So we have a lot of brand new students and a lot of students graduating, a lot of brand new students, a lot of students graduating. So this is kind of normal for us. Just as a little snapshot, our students with a 3.5 GPA or higher, it's about a third. Our students on academic probation, that means their GPA fell below 2.0. It's less than 4%. Most of our students are enrolled full-time, 66% of them. We do not require you to be full-time, but we do have a lot of students who want to be full-time. We do have students who are enrolled part-time, which is 6 units or less, about 12%. Whether you do full-time, part-time, three-quarter time, it really is up to you. We are here to provide you with the advice that shows you how long it would take you to graduate depending on the number of units you take, but the choice is ultimately yours. We had 198 classes offered. Normally, I give you a breakdown of how many of these are face-to-face and ITV and hybrid and all that stuff, but we are fully virtual this fall, and we will be fully virtual for the spring term. So all of our classes are fully online during the campus closures. I also have a breakdown by major, so you can take a look. Our biggest or largest undergraduate major is sociology, with about 20% of our students, and our smallest is interdisciplinary studies with 1.4% of our students. We also have master's degrees in the satellite campus, and we have some credentials available as well. So our total enrollment in classes for the fall 2020 semester was 2,432, and our semester was 16 weeks, which went from August 24th until December 16th. And that is our typical semester length, 16 weeks. Summer is either 5 or 10 weeks, depending on which session you're doing. And winter, we do offer winter, but it's very short. It's usually less than 3 weeks long. We have online tutoring available for our students, and it is free of cost for our students. You do have to register through this specific link, which is nettutor.com/CSUBNT. It looks a little bit like this. It'll ask for a username, first name, last name, and your CSUB email. If you do not have your CSUB email yet, once you register for classes, you will be given a CSUB email, and you'll be able to register for the NetTutor account at that point. My recommendation is that you register as soon as you have your CSUB email address, so that you're not trying to set it up once you actually need tutoring assistance. We also have tutors at the AV satellite campus, or specific for the satellite campus. We have Allison, who is doing our writing tutoring, and we have Lauren, who is doing our sociology tutoring. They also have their own Bitmoji office center thing, and I have a link to them through my virtual office. But you'll be able to meet with them during the days and times that they post on the website. Registration for spring begins November 2nd. check your registration date or appointment date to see if it's on the 2nd or further than the 2nd. If it's prior to November 2nd or prior to your registration date, you're not able to add classes yet, but you can still put them in your shopping cart. So you'll be able to search for classes and have them ready for when you actually register for classes. Everything for spring will be virtual. However, pay attention to whether or not the class has days and times listed. If it has days and times listed, that class will have live meetings, which means you have to be online during those days and times. If it says TBA, online, it doesn't mean it will be announced later. It simply means there are no days and times. It is a fully online class. You just have to meet whatever deadline the instructor gives you, but you don't have to participate in a live meeting or a live discussion that the instructor has scheduled. Tuition for the classes is due Thursday before school starts, and that is every single term, regardless of when you register for classes. So there is no specific need to postpone your registration. So as soon as you're able to register, please register for classes. It will not have an effect on when your tuition fees are due. We will have walking advising available. If after you meet with your advisor for the one-on-ones, you still come up with questions, Selena will be available Monday through Friday, 12 to 1, to meet with students for quick questions. We will also have a full week of nothing but walk-ins during the first week of registration for every term, in which me and Selena are just answering quick questions about your registration. They are one-on-one private meetings. They're just short. You know, they're just meant to address quick questions and concerns, not necessarily what if I change my major, what if I need to update my outline, what if I need to change my plan for graduation. It's more like, can I get into this class? I'm not able to find this class. How do I do the search? How do I do this? It's like quick questions only. That's for walk-ins. Your one-on-one is a fully appointment devoted to you. So you'll be able to ask everything and anything you want. And at that point, we can talk about updating outlines, planning for graduation, all that stuff. When I meet, the quick ones are just for walk-ins. And then ideally, if you have registration issues, you'll just be able to submit a class override request. You don't have to wait for an appointment. And we can walk you through it during your appointment, but hopefully you'll be able to just fill this out and turn it in so that we can override you into classes even before your appointment comes up. A little bit of a review on the general education requirements that we have here at CSUB AV. These general education requirements, we call them upper division general education requirements, are meant to be done after transfer. So a lot of students come in thinking, I'm done with my GEs. I've already completed all of my GEs at my community college. And you've done your lower division general education. Now you need to do your upper division general education. The upper division general education requirements are the upper division science, an upper division arts and humanities, an upper division social science, a junior year diversity, and a capstone. Now, some of these are included in your major, and so we will let you know exactly which of these you specifically need to take. This is just a general overview of all the general education requirements that are upper division courses that need to be taken after transfer. You will also have the graduation writing assessment, which is an upper division writing requirement that can be met by either taking a class or by testing out of it through an exam. If you decide to take the class, you can take English 3109 or Communications 3008. These are normally offered every semester at CSUB AV, and it doesn't matter which one you take. If you decide to take the exam, it really depends on when you take the exam. Normally, when we are physically on campus, the exam has a date of September and a date of February every year. And the deadline to sign up for it is usually about 3 days in advance. For the fall 2020 semester, when we were virtual, they actually gave students more choices for dates because they wanted to keep them smaller, and they did them through Zoom. So it's going to vary as to how you take the exam, in what format, and how many dates are available. So make sure that you check on my virtual website the GUAR info, and it will take you to what the departments are doing at that point. There is usually a $25 fee, and when we are on campus, the exam is on a Saturday, always on a Saturday. When they're doing them on Zoom, you might have a different date during the week, and hopefully it's not going to conflict with some of your classes. I'm pretty sure they'll make arrangements for you if that is the case. Graduation applications are usually due 1 year in advance. The deadlines tend to be in February and September. They do charge you a $70 fee, and the link to apply for graduation becomes available as soon as you've earned 84 units. And they even send you an email that says you're eligible to apply for graduation. However, it really depends on when you are graduating as to when you apply for graduation. So don't apply for graduation as soon as you get that email. Make sure that it's a year in advance from when you're graduating. We will let you know exactly when you should be applying for graduation so that you don't apply for the wrong term. And it would be part of the one-on-ones when we have the one-on-ones. These are the majors and minors that we have available at the CSUB Antelope Valley Satellite. Some students do ask, can I change my major? And if so, what do you offer? So we have majors in business with concentration in general business, accounting, or management. We have a sociology degree with concentrations either as general or human services. We have our child, adolescent, and family studies degree with a general concentration, and pretty new, so I don't have it here, we have the special education, which combines your special education credential with your bachelor's degree. We have a criminal justice degree, a liberal studies degree, which has 3 different concentrations, either traditional, IBES, which is the multiple subject blended, and ISPED, which is the special education blended. We have a natural science with a concentration in foundational science, and we have the interdisciplinary studies with the general concentration. Each of these has a list of prerequisites required for that major. So if you don't meet the prerequisites for that major, we cannot help you change that major until the prerequisites are met. So before you request a change of major, make sure that you do meet the prerequisites for that major prior to requesting it so that you don't get it denied because you didn't have enough classes. We also offer minors at the CSUB AV Satellite. We have a business minor, a sociology minor, a child, adolescent, and family studies minor, a criminal justice minor, and a psychology minor. And each of them have a prerequisite course as well. Now I'm listing the courses from Antelope Valley College because it's our biggest transfer population. However, we do have the list of required courses for different institutions that you can ask us for, that we can provide for you if you're interested in adding a minor or changing your major. The sooner you add a minor or change your major, the sooner the better, because we can help you plan that towards your graduation. By now, you should have received the email with an academic outline prior to your one-on-one. We are not doing workshops, we're doing this individually, which will have your courses completed, and this will be based on the transcripts that we've received. If there's any coursework currently in progress, or meaning that we haven't received final grades for, it's going to be color-coded blue and it's going to say IP on it, as in progress. And then anything that is needed, we highlighted yellow, just for visual effect, so that you can easily see what you have left towards graduation. If there's something specific that you need to know about this class, I would add it right next to the class. For example, it'll say take ASAP, or take after this one, or take in fall, or take in spring. Things like that. So watch out for those little notes right next to the highlighted courses. And again, we'll answer questions about all this paperwork during your one-on-ones. I will also include a unit breakdown with your paperwork, just so that you know a bachelor's degree is 120 units minimum, and this is overall. Out of those 120 units to get your bachelor's degree, no more than 70 can come from a community college. So even though you might have taken 86 units, 89 units, 110 units from your community college, you will notice in the transfer units section, I'm going to highlight it over here if it helps, it'll have no more than 70 from a community college. If you're coming with additional units, like let's say you took some AP classes, we will add those here and separate them from the community college 70 max so that you understand you are grading credit for the full 76 units, following the same guideline, no more than 70 are from a community college, and then additional units will be from either a different university or some AP exams or some CLEP exams or anything like that. So everyone transferring from a community college will need a minimum of 50 units. Anyone transferring from another university, or if you have AP or CLEP exam credits, will need to have at least 30 units being done at CSUB. And this is to meet what we call residency units. Residency units is units taken at CSUB. You cannot graduate from CSUB unless you've taken at least 30 units at this institution. Out of those 120 units, we are measuring for the upper division units. Upper division units are the 3,000, 4,000 level classes, junior, senior level classes. And at least 24 of those need to be done at CSUB if you're transferring from another institution. If you've only attended a community college, all 40 need to be done here. And again, when I say residency, it doesn't mean California, it just means taken at CSUB. There's also GPA requirements that we're watching out for in this outline. So here is, for example, your overall. Here is the residence units for the 30. Here's the upper division. We're also tracking your GE units. And then you're going to see also a GPA minimums. And the different GPAs that we check is your overall GPA, your CSUB GPA, your major GPA, and if you have a minor, your minor GPA. And all of these simply need to be above a 2.0. So we're just going to help you keep track to make sure that you don't fall under 2.0 in any of these areas. We also break down a graduation plan. And I always give you a plan A and a plan B. Obviously, you can have multiple plans. You can have a plan C, a plan D, and a plan E, but E would just go on forever. So I present you from your first advising meeting a plan A and a plan B. We can always modify it as we go through. But starting on your very first semester and based on your previous enrollment, I estimate how many units you would need to take per semester for a specific graduation date. So let's say if you started fall 2020 and you want to graduate in 2 years, we would be aiming for a spring 22 graduation. So I would let you know exactly how many units you would take each of these terms to graduate in spring 2022. Let's say you don't want to graduate in 2 years. What you want to do is you want to take about 3 classes per term. So what I would do is I would do that. I would put in 3 classes per term, fall, spring, maybe summer. If I've never seen you take summer, I'm not going to include summer. I'm just going to continue to do fall and spring. And I will let you know, oh, it looks like based on that, you would graduate spring 23. So each graduation plan is based on, again, your previous enrollment and what your academic goals are. Because I've sent you the paperwork without having met you yet, I've done it based on what you've enrolled in the past. But we can always modify this as you go through. This is just to help you visualize either how long it would take you to graduate or how many units you would need to take for that particular graduation goal that you have in mind. One more thing that I want to make you aware of is our grading. So the CSU have a plus and minus grading system. And what that means is that you don't just have A, B, C, D, and F. You actually have A minus, B plus, B minus, C plus, and it's just a more specific grading than they do at the community college. Most community colleges do have just the solid grades. They don't have a plus and minus system, and that affects your overall GPA. So for some classes, for example, a D might be passing. So for most of your general education courses, let's say your upper division science, a D would be considered passing. So you don't have to retake a class if you got a D on it. However, having too many Ds in your transcripts will eventually bring your overall GPA down. So you still need a 2.0 average in all the different areas that I mentioned, your major, your minor, your CSUB, and your overall. So too many Ds will be a problem. But a D here and there on a class that doesn't require a specific grading on it should be pretty good to go. So we can talk about the specifics as we go through, but I just wanted to make you aware of this. On your first semester, your grades are going to be the most important, because your CSUB GPA, right now you don't have one because you haven't taken any courses at CSUB. So let's say for your first semester you take 4 classes and your grades were C, 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 and then a C minus. Well, the C's give you a 2.0 average. However, a C minus will bring it down to below a 2.0 because it's a 1.7. So mostly C's will move it closer to a 2.0, but the C minus will bring it below a 2.0. So you end up in academic probation on your very first semester because there's nothing to buffer that C minus with. However, once you've been here, let's say a semester or two, just having a C plus in there will average it back up to a 2.0. So a C minus doesn't seem too bad at that point. But on your very first semester, we don't recommend that you try to do too much. If you've been taking 3 classes per term in the past, let's start with 3 classes. If you've been taking 4, let's start with 4. Don't try to make a drastic change that you've been taking 3 classes and now you want to take 5. That's too big of a jump for your first semester. Let's try to stay safe, keep it safe for your very first semester. If you want to jump a little further after your first semester, I think we should be good to go because we'll have a little bit of a buffer at that point. But on your very first semester, don't try to take too many classes, okay? If you take any credit or no credit classes, these do not affect your GPA. So they tend to just be neutral. There's no GPA, it doesn't help and it doesn't hurt in either way. GPA, credit, no credit classes are usually for things like internships and for classes that are already set up as credit, no credit. Like introductions to some majors tend to be credit, no credit, but you shouldn't be changing a letter grade class into a credit, no credit if it's part of your major requirements, unless the department has already designated that class as pass or fail. Another announcement that's pretty important, your final transcripts, that means no grades pending, everything is fully done at your community college. Those final transcripts are due January 15th. So you were required to submit an initial set of transcripts October 1st. If those transcripts that you submitted by October 1st had your final grades, you don't have to submit additional transcripts. However, if there was anything in progress from fall 2020, you will need to submit final transcripts by January 15th. And if for any reason you decided to enroll in a winter class, then you'll have to submit new transcripts at the end of that term, at the end of winter, but those are in addition to your final grades for fall. If you do not turn in grades by January 15th, they could withdraw your admission, they could withhold your admission, or they could put a registration hold on your account for future terms. So January 15th is a very important deadline. Make sure final grades are all turned in by January 15th. PDF transcripts are preferred. They get here faster. They confirm, they track when they were sent. They tell you when they were downloaded by the institution. Whereas if you request printed transcripts, a lot of community colleges are not yet open for employees to come in, so they have someone come in every once in a while to print transcripts, but it's not often, so it takes longer. Plus, they send them through postal mail, which takes even longer to arrive, so PDF transcripts are usually your safest bet. If you're earning a GE certification, make sure that your GE certification is awarded. There is a checkbox that you need to mark when you're requesting transcripts to make sure that your GE certification is included. One of my tutorial videos does walk you through how to request PDF transcripts and how to check for the GE certification in there. Same thing if you're earning an associate degree for transfer, an AAT, AST, or ADT, it needs to be awarded as of fall 2020 or earlier. And that's so that you can get the ADT posted on your CSUB transcript so that you have the guarantees that come from earning an ADT. An ADT is not required, so this is just if you're having an ADT. Make sure that it is awarded as of fall 2020 or earlier. Extremely important, so that's why I have this flashing in there. As a spring 2021 admitted applicant, you have to enroll in classes for spring in order to remain eligible for future terms. So if you do not enroll in classes for spring, or you enroll in classes but then you drop your classes, you will have to reapply to enroll at CSUB for a future term. So there is no admissions rollover. Okay, so if you applied for spring, you're expected to enroll for spring. If you don't enroll for spring, they just assume you decided to attend somewhere else. So they deactivate your student account and you no longer have access to register for classes moving forward. As long as you register on your semester of admission, now you can, take a semester off at some point later in your academic career if needed. But your very first semester you need to be enrolled for it to not cause any problems with your registration moving forward. For students who are enrolled already in classes, if you miss in the future 2 consecutive terms, you lose catalog rights and you'll have to apply at a different time and follow whatever those catalog requirements are at that point. Hopefully nobody's in this situation, but if a situation comes up that either prevents you from enrolling for spring 2021 or that require you to withdraw from spring 2021, please talk to us so that we can walk you through what your choices are moving forward, and we can assist you one-on-one in that regard. But I wanted to make the general announcement because we have students who say they didn't know about this, and so I think it's extremely important that everybody is aware of this, whether you contact us or not. Tuition fees. So this is another very popular question. How do tuition fees work? So tuition fees are not on a per unit basis. They are per chunks. So a student can enroll in either more than 6 units in which they pay the full tuition fee. On a yearly basis, it's about $7,500. Now, this is from the 1920 academic year. I haven't found the 2021 handout just yet that looks exactly like this, so I decided to go with this one anyway. So this one may vary a little bit from the 2021, but the average is about the same. So for the semester, so it breaks it down later. So the $7,400, it's per year, but you pay tuition fees on a semester by semester basis. So for more than 6 units, your tuition fee, it's around $3,700. If you enroll in less than 6 units or 6 units, your tuition fee per term, it's about $2,500. So whether you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 units, the tuition fee remains the same. And whether you do 7 or 17, your tuition fee is the second bracket, which is the $3,700. So some students decide to take a lot of classes because their tuition fee is the same, whether they do 7 or 17 units. But remember that grading thing and that probation thing for your very first semester. Don't overdo it just because your tuition fees are already paying for the larger amount of units. Try to keep it to something that is still manageable. FAFSA is due March 2nd every academic year. So you would have filled out your FAFSA for the spring term last year, right? And so this upcoming October, you'll be filling it out for the following academic year. So it's always a year in advance. And this is one of the handouts I'm giving you, by the way. So ideally, if I have the 2021 handout, I would include that one for you. If you have the 1920, then it's going to look exactly the same. But the federal school code doesn't change. And then the application period for FAFSA doesn't change either. It's always October 1st through March 2nd, the year prior to. Okay. Hopefully this will make sense. If not, we can talk about tuition fees during your one-on-ones. Our academic website or school website, it has a lot of important information for you. So I just want to give you a couple of the highlights. Their links that are important are the ones for current students. If you scroll down, you can see the Antelope Valley satellite website, which, by the way, is just csub.edu/AV if you want to bookmark it. And then further down, it's the campus directory. You're going to need the campus directory to get a hold of any faculty and staff on campus. That's usually the easiest way. I get this question all the time. Can you please give me this instructor's email? It's in the campus directory. If for any reason you cannot find an instructor's contact information in the campus directory, you can contact the department. It might be a new hire, and so it's not yet listed in the directory, but the department will be listed in the directory so that you can give them a call and try to get contact information for a particular instructor. Under the current students link, and I highlighted it here, it's where you can find the student web portal as well as Blackboard and Canvas for your online classes, including the campus catalog. And then the main one I use is the last one I just did, the email in CSUB, which has the 3 lines. I just realized my camera is blocking it, but that's the one with the 3 lines, the hamburger lines on the top right corner. When you click on that, you have access to your email, your student portal, admissions, financial aid, tuition fees. The one we're going to use right now and the one you will use to register for classes is your student portal. So that's the one I'm going to go do next. When you click on the student portal, you're going to need your net ID, which if you don't remember what that is, it usually has your first initial, your last name, and there's a number depending on how many students have your same initial and number. If you can't remember what it is, or if this is the first time that you're setting this up, you're going to click on Need Help, and it'll walk you through how to reset your password or create your account for the very first time. The My CSUB guides had a little bit of screenshots on how to do certain things, and then once you are able to get your net ID and password, you can just go ahead and sign in to view your student information. Once you sign in, you're going to start looking at your student center. Okay, the student center, and it'll have your name here. I have Cindy's over here. It'll have your name there, and the main things that you're looking at is holds. The first things you're going to look at is holds. If it says no holds, good for you. That means you're clear to go for registration. Everything looks good. If you have a student financial services hold, this is usually when you owe money to the university. None of you should be in this situation because you haven't enrolled in classes yet, so you shouldn't have any financial services holds. However, you're likely to have the financial agreement hold. The financial agreement is just their disclosure of how tuition fees work. So they cannot let you enroll in classes until you acknowledge that you understand how the whole tuition thing works, depending how it varies by units that you're enrolled in. And basically, if you enrolled in classes and remain enrolled in classes past the first day of school, you understand that you are responsible for paying those tuition fees. Whether or not you get financial aid is irrelevant at that point. So you need to make sure that you have your financial aid already set up and good to go before the semester starts, so that there's no doubt in your mind as to whether or not you're getting financial aid at that point. If you for some reason are not getting the financial aid you need, you can drop your classes before the semester starts and you owe nothing to the university. But if you remain enrolled, starting on the first day, they start prorating your fees for the rest of the term. So pay attention, make sure that your financial aid is all straightened out before the semester begins. If you're running close to the deadline and you're still not sure if you're getting financial aid, contact the financial aid office, get a straight answer from them before the first day of school so that there is no uncertainty as to what's going to happen with your financial aid or your tuition fees. Advising holds, you will have that on your very first semester, so all of you should have an advising hold, which I am going to clear for you. I normally clear these after I meet with the students, but I'm contemplating the idea of clearing it right after I send you this email with the video, simply because I do want you to start adding your classes. So most likely I would have already cleared this advising hold for you. A probation hold should only be there if, again, your CSUB or your overall have fallen below a 2.0, so none of you should be in this situation for now. The judicial affairs hold is an online sexual harassment training that you're required to do once per academic year. And then the health services hold is just providing proof of your immunization records from your doctor's office, or if you have the printed cards, you can turn those in. They usually only require that once in your entire academic career at CSUB, so once you submit those, you're good to go with the health services hold. Things on your to-do list tend to be mostly about financial aid, like your household size, IRS stuff, student income, but you might have something regarding your final transcripts or your ADT if you're earning an ADT if you noted that you were earning an ADT on your application, they're going to expect for you to provide proof that you earned that ADT. So advising hold every academic year. Usually the hold comes on in October. In your case, we need it now before you register the first time, and then the next time that'll come around will be October every year after that. And then the same for the judicial affairs hold, and I'm sorry again, my camera's blocking it, but it just means once per academic year as well. Enrollment appointment, this is very important. So this will tell you if you're eligible to enroll in classes starting November 2nd or at a future time. I think they were contemplating the idea of providing an enrollment date of November 16th, I believe, for incoming transfer students. So this will tell you if it's November 2nd or November 16th, depending on what the university has decided. You will need to click on details to see the time, to see if you have a specific time that you can enroll in classes. For example, if your enrollment time is at 8 a.m. or at 9 a.m. and you're trying to enroll at midnight because you thought you would stay up and get the first set of classes in there, check the time. That way you're not trying to add classes prior to your registration appointment time. To do your class searches, I have a little bit of a cheat sheet which we included in your paperwork, but I kind of wanted to break it down for you just in case this is a little easier. So the main things that you're going to do is make sure that you have the appropriate term in here. I have fall in here, but obviously you're going to be checking for spring 2021. You will select the subject, business, management, child, adolescent, and family studies, whatever the case might be for your major. The show open classes box is checked by default. I would recommend keep it that way. You only want to concentrate on open classes for now. Once you start graduating and you have less choice of classes, then you can look at, waitlisted or closed classes. But right now in your very first semester, you have a lot of choices. So let's keep it to open classes only. Make sure that the location, this is very important. I forgot about this. You will need to click on this little triangle that says additional search criteria to view the rest of these choices. But once you do that, make sure that you select the location as Antelope Valley because you will be attending the satellite campus, and then you click search. And this will narrow down the classes that we offer at the AV satellite campus, which is your assigned campus. When you're checking for general education courses, main things is leave the subject blank, no subject in here. Keep the open classes only. Make sure you still do the additional search criteria thing and that you do the location as Antelope Valley. Under course attribute, you're going to choose the following. Either the graduation writing assessment for your GWAR requirement, your junior year diversity requirement for your JYDR, or upper division general ed if you're looking for your upper division B, C, and D, which is your science, your arts and humanities, and your social science. When you select the upper division general education as the course attribute, you will get an extra choice down here under the course attribute value in which you can select the B, C, or D at that point. Once you've selected one of these, you click search, and any class that falls under that GE category will show up rather than the list we gave you that has every class in there. Rather than looking each class individually, you search them by the GE section that they belong to. I have a YouTube channel with a lot of tutorial videos. I've created these tutorial videos based on multiple questions or requests for the same information. So if you have a question about something on your My CSUB, I likely have a YouTube video for it. If there isn't one, let me know. I'll create a new one. You can either get this through my virtual website. I have the link right there for tutorial videos, or you can go to YouTube and actually just search for CSUB AV Advising and my channel will pop up. Some of the important tutorials you should be looking at is either searching for classes. If my little cheat sheet didn't help you too much, I actually walk you through how to do the class searches. Validating classes. So if you're searching for classes prior to your registration appointment, you can validate classes, meaning you can check if the enrollment is going to go through or if you're going to have errors prior to a registration appointment. And this is a longer video, it's 8 minutes, but you can fast forward to 6 minutes and 30 seconds to go exactly to the validating part if you want to check that out. Also, in the YouTube video, I included some shortcuts in there, like the appointment request, if you need a follow-up after your one-on-one has taken place, a document request, if for any reason you accidentally deleted your paperwork that we sent you on your email and you need us to resend it to you, we'll go ahead and do that. And then the override request, if you need help with a class that it won't let you register for because your prerequisite is in progress currently or something like that. So a lot of this information is, again, either through my virtual website or the YouTube channel. Prior to your appointment, so this is my final thing for you, recommendations for you. One, make sure that you review the paperwork we sent you. Make sure you read it. If you cannot understand it, that's fine. We will walk you through it. We will explain it to you. But if you haven't even taken a look, we don't know what you need us to explain to you. Watch the tutorial videos on how to search for classes, how to add classes if you get stuck. If you think you got it from the little handout, perfect. Try it. We definitely want you to search and add classes prior to your advising appointment, because then we can address specifically the issues that you're having if you're having any issues. If you haven't attempted it yet, you're more likely to come back later to ask for additional help because during your first meeting you hadn't attempted it yet. So definitely search and add classes, whether you add them to your shopping cart or you add them to your schedule. It's up to you, and it's based on your registration appointment, really. But we want to see that you've attempted the searches and that you've attempted the ads prior to meeting with us. If there's any holds other than advising, please clear those. For example, the student financial agreement, we would expect everyone to have completed that because, again, it's just you acknowledging that you know what tuition fees are and you know how they work. If you don't want to do that until we talk, that's fine. We'll explain that to you one-on-one and then you can have it cleared. But do know it means you won't be able to add classes until you have that hold cleared. And then very important, write down your questions, because a lot of the time, by the time you're meeting with us, you completely forget what you wanted to ask. And then we want to make sure that you make the most of your time with an advisor. So if you have your questions written down, we can address those right away so that it's not something that it's going to prevent you in future terms from understanding what your requirements are. And then the last advice I have for you is set a reminder for your advising appointment, for your one-on-one appointment. It's easy right now to lose track of what day or date it is, or even throughout the day, sometimes it's hard to gauge what time it is. And so set an alarm on your phone, on your tablet, on your email, on your calendar, whatever the case might be. Set an alarm for the date and time of your academic advising so that you don't miss it. Depending on when your advising appointment is scheduled for, depending on how many students we're seeing at that particular time, it could take you up to 2 weeks to reschedule your appointment if we're in the peak advising period. So you don't want to miss your advising appointment. So do a reminder. Okay, that's all I have. Hopefully this wasn't too long. Sorry if it is. But I'm trying to give you as much information as I can prior to your advising appointment so that, again, we can address more specific questions when we actually meet. But thank you for taking the time to watch this, and we will see you soon. Bye.